Let's move to defenders. We'll probably parse it out a little bit more so leading up to the draft, but I just wanted to do, in general, defenders. Part of the reason that I wanted to do just defenders is the fact that I think that the offensive players are going to dominate the first round of the draft. I really do. So there's not going to be a ton of defenders, especially in the first half of the first round. And when I started looking at it, I was like, I can do top 5 of all these different position groups, but these are the guys that we're going to hear their names on night 1. Okay, for sure. I think for sure you're going to hear these names and maybe a few others, but not a lot of others. So let's get into these top 5 defensive players in the 2024 NFL Draft. I'm going to start with number 5. I'm going to go to 1 because, again, I think that there could be questions about the order depending on where you go and who you listen to. So at number 5, I like corner Terrion Arnold from Alabama. So Terrion was recruited as a 5-star safety, didn't get on the field as a freshman. Then he comes out, all he did last year, freshman All-American. This year, first-team All-American. The dude can play. Now, Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to get, or got the bulk of the press at Alabama. Arnold was the better player. 5 interceptions. So great ball skills. That tied for the SEC lead. The fact that he only played for 2 years and is this good, I mean, the gift at the Auburn interception was a gift. I get it. But the fact that he only played for really 2 years, didn't get on the field as a freshman, I think it's very easy to say that his best football is ahead of him. There's no way that this guy has peaked. Only playing 2 years in college, like you can go and have a career where you've got major upside, major potential. I think that he is a pretty high floor, very high ceiling type of player in evaluation. I really like it. I really like him. The reason he fell to 5 in my rankings, candidly, was his direct comparison with a guy that I'll get to later in my rankings and their 40-yard dash. He ran a 4.50 in the 40 at the combine. A bit disappointing. But when you watch his film, really like it. At number 4, I'm going to go Chop Robinson. Penn State, edge defender. Began his career at Maryland. He was a 5-star recruit. Then he spent the last 2 years playing for Manny Diaz's defense at Penn State. Now, Diaz left, obviously, but this guy lit it up at the combine. He's got great size and speed, and he's a terrific athlete, and that just, let's face it, that's what we come to expect from Penn State defenders. Look at what Micah has done in the NFL. And I don't know if Chop is going to do that. I think that would be insane to put him in that category, but his first step, and those of you watching right now are seeing the first step that he put on Michigan in the first series, 2 series of that game. You cannot block him when he gets that speed rush going. You cannot block him with that first step. He's incredibly fast, 4.58 40 at 254 pounds. That's wild. He had check out his numbers as a tester among edge players at the NFL Scouting Combine. Second fastest 40 to Dallas Turner. Tied for the fastest 10-yard split. He tied for the longest broad jump at 10.8, and he had the second fastest 20-yard shuttle. Dude is an athlete, and he gets after it. The one knock on Chop, and you're asking like, well, if he's that good and he's that unblockable, then why is he 4 and not 1? I didn't see the production at Penn State. I wanted more. Every time that I did their games, every time that I watched them on film, I thought to myself, how does this guy not have more sacks than this? Now, to be fair, you cannot beat an offensive lineman faster than he beat the right tackle for Michigan in the first couple of series. He was the main reason. Think about it this way. Why did Michigan run the football 32 straight times against Penn State? It wasn't because they could or they wanted to, although they'd probably like to tell you that now. It's because they couldn't block Chop Robinson early in the game. They totally abandoned the drop back pass. They could not block him whatsoever. And so immediately the next series, they put 2 extra offensive linemen on the field. So they had 7 offensive linemen. They created a super hard, long edge for Chop Robinson where he couldn't get to the quarterback, and they just started running the football. Why did Michigan do that? Because Chop Robinson was going to annihilate them that day. They could not block him. Okay, so there's always two sides to every story. I was in the booth. I saw it. That's what went on. Now, you got to give Michigan a lot of credit. One, they did it. Two, they were willing to do it. And three, they just bludgeoned Penn State to death, really, in that second half. But they did it because of Chop Robinson. He was that good rushing the passer. Let's go on to number 3. Quinyon Mitchell, the corner from Toledo. He's the guy that I wanted to compare Arnold to. He's the guy that I'm trying to break ties with in this whole process. These two guys are my top 2 corners. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking to myself, I love their game. I want to go with Arnold because he's a big conference player. Yes, I'm an elitist in this. Why? Because Arnold played in the SEC. He saw better competition on a week in and week out basis. And yet, Mitchell out-tested him at the combine and showed up to the Senior Bowl and was lights out. And that's great competition. So that put at ease some of those concerns I would say I had about where he played. Now, if he does get selected as high as I think he could get selected, like if he goes in the first, let's say top 15 picks, and I think there's a good chance he does, he'd be the first MAC defensive player to do that since Khalil Mack back in 2014. So you couple the way he tested 4.33 in the 40 to the Arnold's 4.50, the way he played at the Senior Bowl, and the fact that we have seen guys like Khalil Mack, like, by the way, Sauce Gardner, who played at Cincinnati, who was a Group of 5 school. Now he's arguably the best corner in the National Football League. It can happen. So all of that tells me, okay, you're fine putting him above Terrion Arnold. And I did. He's a 2-time AP All-American coming out of the MAC. And I think it's fair to have concerns from guys from that league. I think it's fair. But like I said, putting that to bed with guys like Sauce Gardner, Khalil Mack, the way that he tested at the combine. And for me, when I look at Quinyon Mitchell, he's fast and he's also big and strong. He's got length. That doesn't happen all the time. Normally, when you see corners that run really fast and have some length, I'll be real honest, they're not overly strong. This guy is broad and very strong. He did 20 reps at 225 at the combine. 20 reps. That is a ton. There's probably guys out there that think like, well, I don't know, man. I could probably like bang out 10 or 15. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. In fact, if there's one guy listening to this podcast that could do 20 reps at 225 on the bench, I mean, I'll find a prize. I'll make you a sweet hat. I got a guy that does these hats that I've been wearing on the show. I'll make you a sweet hat. If you video and email us to the Joel Klatt Show mailbag at gmail.com, if I can have video proof of you doing 225 20 times, you're getting something. And it'll be pretty sweet. My guy has Masters hats. I'll send something out. We'll make a special JKS Joel Klatt Show hat for you. I'll make all the hats for you. 20 times. Anybody listening, 20 times at 225. I might give you a hat if you can do it 10 times. And I'll respond to your email if you can do it 5. I will personally respond to your email if you can do it 5 times. This just turned into my favorite segment. Now this is all I'm going to be thinking about all week is like how many, don't hurt yourselves, first of all. And I assume no liability for your injuries. That's a disclaimer. You do this all on your own accord if you send me a video. All right, let's get on with it. Number 2, Jared Verse from Florida State. This dude, man, so he starts at Albany, then he goes to Florida State. And my issue with Chop Robinson was a lack of production. Don't have that issue with Jared Verse. 18 sacks at Florida State over the last few years. I think he's scheme diverse. He's probably the safest defender that you can select. I've got him number 2 because I'm going to have Dallas Turner up at the top, and I'll talk about him in a moment. But Verse is more versatile. There you go. I think he can play with his hand in the ground. I think he can play standing up. So I think he's scheme diverse. He's very strong at the point of attack. He's got a great first step. He's got the production sacking the quarterback, and yet he's also a really good run defender. So this guy is easily a guy that I think can be the best defender in the class. He just doesn't have the top line attributes from a testing perspective that a Dallas Turner does. But Jared Verse is the safest defender, at least on my draft board. I think that this guy has the power and the speed to dominate at the next level. I'll be pretty surprised if there's not a year where he is up there at least in the top 5, 4 in sacks in the NFL. And number 1, I alluded to it, Dallas Turner from Alabama. First team All-American, 22 sacks over the last 3 seasons. So this guy gets it done. He's a monster. He was second in the SEC in QB pressures this last year. When he gets there, he arrives angry, but that's going to have to change. That's going to have to change. That hit on Jalen Daniels, like he's going to find himself playing for free. If he plays exactly like he did at Alabama, once he gets to the National Football League, he's going to run into some fine issues because he arrives at the quarterback in angry fashion. He's a great defender. He's a dynamic athlete. He's 6'4", 247 pounds, and ran 4.46 in the 40. That's like, that hurts my head. Like, what are we doing? Like that, there are guys that can do that? That's absurd. That's absurd. 4.46? What? Led all edge players. Played with Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson is not a comp, but Will was a more polished player coming out. That was proven out to be true this year with the Texans. He was phenomenal. Dallas might have a higher ceiling than Will Anderson. I'm not saying he's definitely going to get there, but the attributes suggest that he's got a higher ceiling. He's not as consistent and he's not as polished as what Will Anderson was. Will Anderson is an alpha. He's a terrific player. I mean, terrific. That's why he was the NFL Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. As far as just a ceiling, Turner's might be even a little bit higher.
Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.